welcome to the management Q&A. This is not being live streamed, just so that you know. We are right now in the process of upgrading the sound system in here to tie into channel 1340 better. Actually, it sounds different in here, doesn't it? So that's one of the changes. There's actually new microphones. See the green mics? And the camera was upgraded. I'm not sure if any of that is operational yet, but Hudson Valley Audio Visual has been working on an upgrade in here. The primary impetus for this was the fact that what we discovered on 1340 during COVID, when we were shut down, was that musical performances don't stream well from the old sound system that was in here. So we wanted to have better camera quality and also better sound system. So Jason was able to secure a quote for that and get us going. So I'm gonna kick us off. I'm gonna actually do my spiel first. I know I usually go and I'll let you guys go and then come back, but I'm just gonna go through my things first. So for those of you that I have not met yet, I am Michelle Vermolia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond. This program right now is being recorded and will re-air on channel 1340 later at 5 p.m. So folks will be able to see it. If somebody was to go on to channel 1340 right now thinking they were getting this meeting, they see a sign that says it will air at 5 p.m. So they know, okay?
Will it go on YouTube?
Yes, it will always go on YouTube, Betsy. All right, so a few things today. A calendar update from Gretchen. There is supposed to have been a violin recital on Sunday at 2 p.m. in the PAC. The instructor requested a postponement as she needs to spend time with an ill relative, so that's going to be rescheduled to the fall. So no violin recital on Sunday. The garden tour, as you all know that have been here for a few years, the garden tour is always a beautiful event here at Woodland Pond in June, where many of our residents open up and show off their beautiful gardens. That is currently scheduled for Friday, June 17th from 10 to 12 a.m. with a rain date on Monday the 20th. So I hope everybody puts that on their calendars. And the last thing Gretch asked me to follow up on was to make sure that all of you are signing up for large events in the PAC at the concierge. So if you see something on the Chanticleer that says, please sign up at the concierge, please do that. It helps us to plan for seating and makes things go a little bit more seamlessly. That would apply next week to the Deaf Cafe on Tuesday and a handbell and dulcimer concert on Wednesday. So if you plan on attending either of those events next week, please do sign up with concierge. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about. Sarah still hasn't had her baby. So whoever was in the pool for yesterday, you lost. She is due this week, and she's anxiously awaiting the arrival of the child. She is expecting a little girl, for those of you that don't know that, and she's very excited, as is her husband Doug, which is Bernice and Roger's son. So I'm sure you're also equally as excited. Yesterday on my address, I had indicated that I was going to include a memo on the back of the COVID update related to coverage, but it actually ended up being 2 pages, front and back, so I just did a separate memo today. Okay, you will all have this in your cubbies, okay? But I just wanted to go through this memo so that I can read it to you here and then let any of you ask any questions about coverage while we're in this room, okay? So it reads, as dated today, and it says, to all Woodland Pond residents, staff, and loved ones. This letter will serve to explain how our leadership team at Woodland Pond has planned to cover the responsibilities of Sarah Leonard, our Director of Resident Services, as she and her family welcome their new baby. So it goes on to say you'll see 4 familiar faces, but essentially we're going to do this we're going to cover by committee, okay? So normally that's how we cover things here at Woodland Pond if the person doesn't have a second in command. So our committee for covering Sarah's efforts are going to be covered by a few familiar faces. So Mary Jo, of course. Angel Murphy, our other wellness RN, continues to be on a leave of absence. Unfortunately, she was injured 2 months ago now, and she has not recovered yet to the point that she can return to work. So please send prayers. She wants to be back desperately, and I know that her presence here created a great amount of peace for you on the weekend, so we want her back as quickly as possible, but she's not quite there yet. Myself, Gretchen, of course, and Grace. So those are sort of the 4 people that you're used to doing things and covering things for Sarah. There are going to be 2 additional folks, though, on our committee that you maybe not as familiar with. So this memo goes on to introduce them and what they're going to be doing in Sarah's absence. Okay? So the first person is Cameron Elgner, who's right here. Cameron, can you stand up and take your mask off so they can see what your face looks like in case you're sitting in the office? Okay? So if you see a tall blonde in Sarah's office that doesn't quite look like Sarah, it's because it's Cameron. And Cameron is going to be sitting in Sarah's office effective immediately, Mondays through Fridays, in normal business hours. Cameron will be sort of our point person and triage person for Sarah's phone, her email, and folks that walk in, okay? Cameron is going to work with Mary Jo, myself, Gretchen, Grace, all of the department heads to help us triage all of your needs. So she'll identify what the issue or question is, she will address it to the extent that she can herself, and then she will engage with us, okay? She's also going to help on things like transitions to the higher levels of care. There's a lot of paperwork with doctors' offices and such that have to happen with that. Helping residents gain access to physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, other types of support services. Cameron's going to help assist folks that need private duty companions. So she's going to do a lot of the task-oriented stuff. But the great thing about Cam is that she's been with us here at Woodland Pond since last June. And in her role first as my intern, completing her master's for Hofstra, and then now working with Philip Mail as his administrator and training intern, Cameron has had to rotate through every department. So she spent 2 weeks with Amy or a week with Amy, many weeks with Shannon, a very long time with Rob and Tom, which was incidentally her favorite part so far.
I better.
Yes, you did feed her. I think she even went on the roof with heels on one day, is what the rumor has. But so I think Cameron went on the roof with heels on one day while she was working with Tom and Rob. But the long story short is, because Cameron's been with us for a year at this point and has worked with every department, especially heavily focused on the health center since June, she really knows all of the folks that can help all of you. So, you know, while she's a newer face to Woodland Pond, she is hitting the ground running and she knows exactly who she needs to go to. She doesn't necessarily know the answers to everything. We would never expect that, but she knows who to come to help, okay? There's a little bit of a bio and a photograph of Cameron on the memo. So you'll be able to put a name to a face and you'll understand her background, okay? What's that?
Without the mask.
Without the mask. The second face, who I unfortunately cannot introduce to you today because she's only with us on Thursdays and Fridays, is a woman named Heather Green. Heather is also in the same administrator in training type internship as Cameron. So both are on the same track to eventually become a licensed nursing home administrator. But the difference with Heather is that Heather, first of all, she's a licensed social worker. Okay, so she's an LCSW, licensed clinical social worker. But for the last 18 years, she has been a social worker at Mountainside Residential Care Center, which is the nursing home that Philip used to run, okay? And she's currently still there full-time. Actually, her title is Director of Resident and Family Services at that care center. So in addition to being their full-time Director of Resident Services there, she's also a social worker. So she works up there, which is in Delaware County, 2 hours from here. She works there every day from Saturday to Wednesday full-time, and then she comes down here and stays in a hotel and is doing her internship here on Thursdays and Fridays. So in the time that she is here on Thursdays and Fridays, Philip has agreed to loan her to our independent living needs as much as possible. And Heather is so excited. she's beyond excited to get to know the independent living residents. So she will be here to support our committee as we need, okay? So again, Heather has included a photograph of herself and a bio of her experience. So when you get your memo today in your cubby, please take a look at this. You can understand how we've put our team together to provide the care and support to you in Sarah's absence. I have also included the contact phone numbers for most of the folks on here. We also reference the manager on duty. I'm always surprised to learn that residents still are unaware that we have a manager on duty at all times. We all rotate through. We are available to you 24/7 when we are the manager on duty, and the name of that person is always posted at concierge. So there's contact information there about how to get in touch with manager on duty. Questions? Nothing. All right, so I guess we put a good plan together.
Is there anything in place to replace,
Angel?
yes.
So we don't want to replace Angel. She's amazing.
Replace her, but just
Temporarily cover.
it's a long time or that.
It is a long time. There's challenges with doing that because of the circumstances under which she was hurt, which was related to work. So in work-related injury cases, there are certain rules about what you can and cannot do to replace services. But the most important thing for everybody to know and understand is that Mary Jo is here 5 days a week. So it's just the weekend that we don't have a wellness RN. You know, we never had a wellness RN on the weekends until Angel was added, so that was an added service. But if you ever have any kind of an emergency on the weekend, the best, or anytime, because Mary Jo's not here 24/7 either, she leaves at 4 or 5 o'clock. You all have your PERS, and knowing where your PERS is and making sure that you have it handy is your ticket to safety here, because our staff is here 24/7. There's always security, there's always maintenance until 11 o'clock, security's here 24/7. They know, and their primary role overnight is to respond to your PERS alarms. So even though they can't do high-level medical procedures, Mary Jo can't either, but she will call EMS. That is what security would do. Okay, so there's always somebody here that can help you, but you need to have those PERS, or your call bells, or contact concierge. Our biggest hope though is that Angel gets back on her feet, gets back here soon, because I know the residents really appreciated her, and as do we.
How long will Sarah be out?
Sarah will be out until after Labor Day. So she'll be out through the course of the summer.
And Labor Day then?
Yes, from Labor Day to Labor Day. Exactly, that's the drummer call. Ching! You're the drummer.
That's very
You should have to do the drum roll. Does anybody have any other questions or comments or concerns about our coverage plan? Does everybody feel like for now that's pretty adequate? Okay. I do indicate in this memo, and you'll see it, that if at any point we find that this is not working or is inadequate at that point, we will pivot from it and we'll come up with a plan B. But right now we've got somebody available to help, won't fill Sarah's shoes, but it should, kind of get us through her maternity leave. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about today was just the update on the on-site expansion. So we're continuing to work through approval process with the Village of New Paltz Planning Board. The next step in the process, we had adequately gotten to the point in time that they felt comfortable at the last meeting scheduling what's called a public hearing, okay? So the way it works is you put in your application, they ask you for stuff, you give them stuff, they ask you for more stuff, and that can go around as long as they want it to until they feel comfortable. At such point that they feel comfortable scheduling a public hearing for comment, that typically means that they feel that they've gotten everything that they need or have asked for everything that they need, and now that they're satisfied, they're ready to hear from the public. In New Paltz, such a public hearing or public comment period is required to be made public via notices to surrounding municipalities, neighbors of the community, and there's I don't know if it's linear footage. There's a linear footage, it's something within 200 feet of the property or something. We have to post signs about the notice and so forth. So what you are going to see today or tomorrow, You are not required actually to be notified because you actually live here. You're technically considered the person that's making the notice, but we decided to notify all of you too. So in your boxes, your cubbies today or tomorrow, also via email, for those of you that get email notification, you are going to receive a notice of the public hearing, okay? The public hearing is going to be on June 7th. It will be in person at the Elting Library or available on Zoom. So if any of you wanted to make a public comment, preferably in favor of the project, you are welcome to do so. You are not obligated, but we decided out of an effort of transparency that we were going to make formal notification to all of you about that public hearing coming. So you will see that notice. You will also see, when you come and go from the community, public hearing notice signs posted on probably wooden sticks, wooden poles, at our entrances. That is required by Village of New Paltz, okay?
Already up.
They're already up, that's right, Mr. Hoffman. Yeah, so we have 4 up right now. I would greatly appreciate it if anybody notices between now and June 7th that there is not a visible notice when you come in either on George Danskin Way or at the front entrance, to please notify concierge right away. We have our staff checking them daily, but it's not unheard of for somebody that's objecting to a project to go pull those notices out of the ground. What that can do is it can create a problem for us, because somebody could say, Woodland Pond didn't post the signs up. So if you're driving or walking around, you'd see it coming on George Danskin Way from the Lent Farm subdivision coming into Woodland Pond. They're large 11 by 17 signs, they're laminated on a wooden stand or stick or whatever, pole, and then they're at the front entrance. If you don't see one of those signs, please let concierge know. I prefer if it was there and you missed it and we go check, than if you see that it wasn't there and we could potentially be then delayed. The last part of the public notice, well, there's 2 parts. We have to send mailers, which are actually in today's outgoing mail, to all of our physical neighbors. The village provided us a list of those neighbors that needed to get the physical notice, so they've received, or they will receive in the mail, the same notice that you are getting in your cubbies. They're going to get their physical mail, and the village planning board secretary was required to post a notice in Hudson Valley 1 of the public hearing. Okay, and that has to be at least 5 days before the public hearing. So that should be in Hudson Valley 1, which is formerly New Paltz Times. Probably not tomorrow, because it comes out on Thursday, so I'm thinking next Thursday. So we are continuing to work on the architectural designs for the cottages. We are well along the way in getting the approvals from Department of Financial Services and Department of Health at the state level. The financing is ready for us when we are ready to go. And again, all of these cottages are pre-sold, so the prospective residents are also ready to move in as soon as these things are up. So the village approval process is going to be critical to us. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay, Betsy?
Did you ever find that map?
The 2007 site plan?
Whatever, what they were looking for.
Right, so one of the things that, without getting too far into the weeds, when Woodland Pond was originally constructed, ground was ready to break 2 years prior to when ground actually broke, because an Article 78 environmental lawsuit was filed by 4 local neighbors. Part of that settlement, we settled it, was that we would adhere to an April 2007 site plan. Okay. We have no record of that site plan. The village has no record of that site plan, and the engineers that we are using, which are the original engineers, no one has it. So right now that's one of the hang-up items because nobody can find it. And the final site plan, which was dated from June of 2007, is not the same plan. So our design is in compliance with the existing approved final site plan. The one from April of 2007 that's referenced in the lawsuit is not the final, but the lawsuit references it. So we are in compliance with the final on-file site plan, but there's this mysterious other site plan that no one can find that the Article 78 settlement referred to. So that's kind of coming up again, even though it's sort of old business. So we're working on it, but no, I mean, if it's not found, we're not sure exactly what's gonna happen. What we do know is that the village planning board has already acknowledged that the existing design fits within the existing approved site plan from June of 2007. So our engineers worked on the approved site plan, and we've yet to find out what happens when they flush out that April 2007 that was referenced in the settlement agreement. Other questions?
This is just a quibble, but I am constantly annoyed by the reporter, Terrence Ward, who refers to Woodland Pond as a ghetto over and over again. I mean, his attitude towards us is really nasty.
We agree, and Tom and I actually just got off a phone call with our expansion committee members, one of which is Michael Zeeler, and he was on the village planning board for many years, and now is our board member. He's been instrumental in helping us navigate this process, and he was kind of one of the subjects of the latest article that came out in Hudson Valley One. So he contacted the reporter, and this is verbatim, Michael just told us. He said, listen, if you had just contacted me, some of these things, like when I joined the Woodland Pond board and other facts could have been verified. And he said to Michael, I barely have time to get an article out, let alone fact check. So that's great. But what I did say to Shannon was, we don't advertise with Hudson Valley One. We don't do any newspaper advertising because it's not where people look for where to find a CCRC. People look online or they go to referral services or whatever. So we don't do any newspaper advertising. I think that's part of why Hudson Valley One doesn't love us, but we will see. We may have to strategically think about doing that because it's just putting negativity out into the universe that doesn't need to be there.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody have anything else for me on that topic or any other topic at all for me? Yes.
Yeah, are there any kind of plans, physical, on paper that would be available for us to look at, either here or?
Tom's gonna address that.
Okay.
Tom will address that. I'll have Tom come next and he can give you an update on that. The answer is, of course, things are on paper. I just don't know where we are in terms of sharing. So I'll let Tom kind of update you on that. Does anybody have any other questions about any other topics for me at this point? Okay, Amy's going to touch on, resuming the dining room and that kind of stuff. So we'll let her cover those things. And then we'll go from there. And then if I have to get back up and answer any questions, I certainly will. So, Mr. Tango?
Hi, I'm Tom Tango, Director of Plant Operations, those of you who don't know. A couple things, I'll start off, we'll finish. If anyone wants to see the plan for where we're, for the three new duplexes, the best thing would be come down and see me and I'll show them to you right on the screen in my office and I can explain things to you. I'd rather do that than send them out and start emailing them before they're blessed and then we have to deal with which ones are out there and what's are not. But I would encourage anybody with any questions to come down and I can show you. Now, while I say that, I really don't want 200 people coming down. But call concierge or April downstairs and make an appointment and come in and I'll be more than happy to show you what the plans are and the reasoning behind some of the things we're doing. And I'd rather do that than have people guessing or believing the wrong thing. There's zero hesitation to show you and explain what exactly we're doing.
And I would just mention, we actually utilized, for the actual design of the cottages, we used the existing cottage floor plan, and that's what was given to the architect with minor modifications. So we took into account a number of the improvements in terms of HVAC and certain finishes from the existing cottages, but generally speaking, they were designed to look like they were here from the beginning. And rather than recreate the wheel, we essentially kept the same floor plan with very minor modifications. So that's sort of the framework under which the cottages were designed. And once they're final, once everything is final and approved, we will put those up. But we just don't want different, copies being out there. People can't keep it straight. So, okay, thank you.
Just a couple of things with their questions. This time of year, and then again come like October, when it's like warm during the day, 80 or 75, and people want air conditioning, they put the air conditioning on. Then at night, it drops down to like 40, 45, damn. If you leave the air conditioning set to AC, the coil is always on, the air conditioning coil. And when it gets cold outside, ice forms on that coil. And then the next day, people call concierge and say, my air conditioning worked great yesterday, and now it's not working. And we come up, and all we can do at that point is turn the unit to off and wait 5 or 6 hours for it to thaw out. And then generally it starts working again. There could be a lot of other things that cause it. I'm not saying that's all. But what I do, and I put something in the Chanticleer, and what I would ask is that everybody is pretty aware and try to not leave the unit on AC on nights where it's gonna get down to 40 or so. The units just freeze. Not just our units, that's just how air conditioning works. And I know, in just leaving it on, like if you leave it on 72 or 68, that's still gonna freeze as long as that setting is on AC, because the coil is still on. So again, any more questions, feel free to ask. But currently, this time of year, and then again in October, we respond to a lot of frozen coils. So that's what 80% of the no air conditioning calls are for, especially when they say, it was working great yesterday. That's usually what it is. The other thing I just want to talk to you, the sentiment mentioned, it came up this morning in Plan Ops Committee. I'm going to be sending something out to Chanticleer. On the ends of the wings, there's the common patios that are all on the ends of the wings. Some of them have a lot of furniture in it. Some of them don't. We're going to ask you to please label that furniture if it belongs to you. My belief is a lot of that furniture might belong to people that are no longer here. And then by a certain date, above the memo, whatever isn't labeled, we might relocate. Our relocation might be the garbage. We might relocate somewhere else. But and just in general, the purpose and the intent of those common shared patios is not to provide additional storage. It's not for items that can't fit in your apartment or you just don't want in your apartment. That is for everybody to enjoy. So if you have furniture there, please just label it so you know whose it is. And with that, I'll take questions. If there's any questions.
Hi, Tom. You started telling me outside about the new Gator. Did you finish the explanation about the new boy toy we have here?
It's not a toy, it's a tool. Don't say toy, you didn't say that, Michelle. No, it's, the reason we got it is we had gotten a golf cart a couple years ago. And we started to use the golf cart like a truck. And the golf cart isn't a truck, it's a golf cart. So there's things that we can't do with it that we can with the Gator, like mulch. We talked this morning in the Plan Ops Committee. There's a lot of gravel that needs to spread down on the trails that the truck can't get to. And the golf cart can't carry that much gravel. And the guys just can't keep carrying, 5-gallon pails. So the Gator can load up with gravel, get wherever the gravel needs to go, and dump. The gravel also gives us some capabilities in the future, different attachments, trailers, and other things. Also, the Gator can drive, due to the turf tires it has, the Gator can drive on the grass, up the grassy hill in a rain, and not ruin the turf, and not ruin the grass. You might see tire tracks, but it's not going to tear up the dirt, which is pretty important because we couldn't do that with even the golf cart. So that's the idea behind the Gator, and if one of the big things it's going to start doing is spreading mulch. But the Gator won't. The people operating the Gator won't.
What's it run on?
Diesel,
Which is very expensive.
which is very expensive.
Well, we don't store the diesel here, or do we?
No, we don't. Currently, we're just using 5-gallon, just use the 5-gallon containers, we'll go get the diesel. Once we have an idea of how much diesel we go through, we might have a different opinion. We do have 1,000 gallons of diesel here in the generator. But right now, we wanna see how much diesel we go through. And I think the easiest thing might just be to run to get it.
Tom, I know what a golf cart looks like. I know what a truck looks like. What does a Gator look like? What is it? But when we pass it, how will we know it?
Green. It's
It's
green.
green.
It's John Deere
It's
green.
like a tractor.
Yeah, it's John Deere green. It's got 6 wheels, 2 wheels in the back, 2 wheels, one in the front. And it will always have people in it doing a lot of hard work. Very effective.
Are the outside water faucets on yet? I'd like to start watering my garden.
I'm gonna say yes. And if
It
you
wasn't
want,
the other day, but it might be now.
I think they went around in the Gator and turned them all on. I think, yeah.
What is the anticipated cost of the new units being built?
Cost to whom?
The cost
Right, Bill?
for the units or to build them?
To build them?
Right now, we're estimating that the total cost to construct is somewhere between $2.5 million and $3 million.
For all of them.
For all 6. It's gonna depend on building supplies and so forth. But all of those, the entrance fees generated to pay the loan, right now is $4.5 million. So, we already have, the folks have signed on the dotted line and put their deposits down with their existing contracts, because those cottages are gonna be quite pricey. It's going to more than adequately cover the cost of construction. We did that by design, so that we can generate some additional cash flow for the community.
Tom,
Yes?
the back porches in the cottages have not been washed, I think, in forever. And in the spring, when we go out to use it and put furniture, there are all kinds of wasp nests and other creatures that have gotten a home there. Can we have those washed?
Yes, I know we did them about 2 years ago, we power washed cottages, but we can do it again. Also, some of the cottages, and I walked through, I've been back there lately, I'll get something out to everybody, but some of the cottages have vines growing on them and trellises, we need to remove some of that. But we can, and we can, we'll also make an effort to clean the back patios, so we'll do that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
We're waiting until after the.
Yeah, but the bugs and the mice crawl right up right in the house, and we gotta get them off of that. Can't have the vines on the house, growing up in the house.
But tell me before you do.
We just did.
Wait until after the garden.
No, we're not gonna come, and, 100%, no, we're not gonna come to you, Yankee. Yeah, we'll talk to you again. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon?
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Scatoro, the Director of Marketing. Just an update on our end, we've been very busy. I know several new people have joined us over the past few months here. And we have several more right now. We have 8 or 9 closings lined up between now and the end of June. And a lot of new faces joining us throughout the summer once their homes are renovated and ready for them to move into. We also right now have 2 apartments that are unspoken for. One is a 1-bedroom with den, the Willow, and one is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, the Cedar apartment. Other than that, we're full across the board as of now. Yeah. And we also tomorrow, we're starting to get, our events are starting up again. We have our resident panel luncheon for tomorrow, where we have an audience of about 50 people coming to learn more about Woodland Pond. And there's a panel of 8 residents that live here, and they're gonna talk to the audience about what life is like here and why they chose to come here. And then in 2 more weeks, on June 9th, we have our second event, the same thing, with another full audience of I think about 52 people. We're a little bit overbooked. You know, some people decide last minute they can't make it for whatever reason, so I'm sure we'll have a full house again that date. And then afterwards, we'll let them talk to the residents and tour a few of them around, and show them homes, and answer any questions. And that is all I have right now. Anyone have any questions for me?
What has your experience been with how many people we get from these open houses, so to speak?
This is always our best event. Prospects, they want to hear from the people that live here more than they want to talk to me. So we usually, if we have anything available, they might actually go that day.
What's our present population in IL?
260 people?
Individual people, about 260 people. And by the end of June, every apartment will be sold except for 2 apartments, and everything else has waiting lists, so.
What's our capacity if those are all full?
Well, if everything fills to double occupancy, it's 402.
Hear her.
But we only have 30% double occupancy typically. Any other questions for Shannon?
Any more?
Thanks, Shannon.
No? Thank you.
Rob?
Hi everyone, I'm Robert Dunn, Director of Environmental Services. A couple of things to note. I know a lot of you have called about bees on the porch. I talked to Pest Control, they should be here because there's a number of you that we have to address. One of the things he did notice is a lot of times there will be plants on the back porch. That's what's also drawing the wasps to your porch. So if you could eliminate the plants on the back porch, I know that's a very tough thing for some of you to deal with. Just keep that in mind, that you could have those problems, especially not your porch is open, I believe, so you don't have as many issues, but it's, you know, it's more the building itself, and they kind of get inside the weep holes, the drain holes on the porches in the building itself. And we're finding that there's plants on the porch, and that's what they're drawn to at this time of year. So if we can eliminate plants on the porch, and I get it, you know, but there's always a trade-off. If you keep the plants there, it's like a magnet, so you're gonna have those types of issues more frequently. But that's something Pest Control noted, if he could eliminate the plants on the porch, but I know what that's like, it's not gonna happen. The other thing is, I know the porches on the ends have been brought up, so we're gonna start steam cleaning them today and tomorrow, and work our way from south wing to north wing to get those porches done at the end. So we'll work our way systematically through and get them all steam cleaned up, because there's a lot of gunk, and like Tom said, there's a lot of stuff stored there, so whoever has stuff, if we can get that out of the way so we can clean it more effectively, if that stuff doesn't need to be there, we can do a better job and a quicker job of cleaning those out. The other thing is we did start annuals, so that is going really well. Our plan, which Cameron helped with tremendously, thank you, in getting that all set up, was we're gonna start with all the small apartments first. So I have 2 staff members working on the small apartments, spruces, right? Is that what it is? Small. And then we're gonna move up to the next stage, and we'll schedule that out. Right now, I'm scheduled through mid or 3rd week of June. I'm starting to schedule that last week of June. So I will be reaching out to you, and we will be going by apartment size, because everybody needs an annual at this point. So everyone's on the list to get it done. It's just that's systematically how it was the best way to tackle it, is get the small apartments done first. Any questions on the annuals? There's a lot of hands here.
Could we get a list of what sort of things will be done in the annuals?
Sure. When they come, they have it, but I can provide it to you ahead of time if you want.
Yeah.
If there's things on that list that you don't want to have done, you can just check it off and give me a copy back.
And if there are things that we, if there are things that we want done that are not on the list.
Call me ahead of time, but yeah, I can put that in your mailbox, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then they bring that list to you, and then you'll sign off on that before they leave at the end of the annual. Go ahead, Rhea.
I wanted to ask you about window washing.
Window washing we can schedule with the window company. They request that we wait until the pollen is done, because if we go ahead and do the windows right now, we're gonna waste the money right out the window because they're all gonna be covered with pollen a week later. So they recommend somewhere in the July timeframe, depending on when they can fit us into the schedule, because they're here probably, I think it's 7 days at the most, depending on that stuff. So that we do plan on doing windows this year and hopefully with the screens, but it all depends on scheduling, but it's.
And another question I wanted to ask you is about the screens. After all this time, some of them have, I guess you call it holes. And what do we do about getting the screening replaced?
That one you could call Tommy back there. You could put a work order in for that and they'll replace that screening.
Okay, great.
All right, especially if it's got a good rip in it where you are gonna have pests coming through, get that replaced.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, front here.
That's right.
I wanted to ask about the porches that belong to each apartment on the ground floor. Mine has a lot of little tiny dead worms or something. They always come up in the rain. And it used to be, whoever did the cleaning would vacuum that. I never asked. She just did it.
We should, so if we're not, we can do that. We don't do that in the dead of winter, obviously, but we should be doing it now, yes. Yeah, and I'll remind the staff, yes, but they should go out to the porch and vacuum that porch. Whether it's concrete or it's not concrete, it doesn't matter. They should take a vacuum to it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the annuals or anything else for me right now? Go ahead.
Yes, I was not here last year when you had annuals. We moved in since then. Could you tell us what an annual is?
Yes, an annual cleaning is more like a deep, thorough cleaning. It's kind of like your spring cleaning. So we'll pull furniture out that we can move, we'll pull chairs out, we'll do on top of the cabinets. It's a lot more in-depth than your just basic cleaning. But I can also give you a list so you have it, so you understand what a full annual cleaning is.
Are the windows done from the inside or outside?
The window company that comes in and does that, we can always do them if something happens to the insides of the windows. We will never do the outsides of the windows because of the screen and depending on what floor you're on. But the window company will do the insides and outsides when they come once a year. But if you need us to do the inside 6 months from now, then we can have to ask the housekeeper to make sure the windows are done, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay. Rob, does that include the carpeting, the annual?
What do you mean, like shampooing? Like the entire carpet?
Yeah.
No, we'll vacuum it, but no, we're not gonna shampoo the carpet. That would be something different. That's kind of above and beyond, but if you need to make arrangements for that, I'll call you and we can talk about that.
Okay, great.
Spot cleaning on the rug?
We can do spot cleaning on the rug. Our equipment can do spot cleaning. I've always recommended if you're looking to do your whole apartment, to get the whole apartment carpeting done, ServPro has usually done that in the past, or LCS has come in and done that. They have different rates for doing the entire carpet. But if it's a stain, just you spilled your coffee or you spilled your wine, then call us and we can come take care of that for you. But if it's the whole apartment, I recommend their equipment is more geared towards that, and they can move furniture where it's a little bit more difficult. We can more do the Band-Aid triage kind of stuff.
We've been here for more than 12 years. I believe at one point you offered free cleaning of your carpeting, like at 7 years.
No, not for me.
Well, whoever was here, I have to count up now. 2009?
No, I wasn't here in 2009, and maybe that's why that person's no longer here.
Okay, well,
One more question from me, or unless Bernice has another one.
No, it was about replacement of carpeting, which was what I understood would happen at a certain point.
Oh, replacing the carpet.
Replacing carpeting, I'm sorry, did I say cleaning? I meant
Yes.
replacement. So we have never taken up the offer of replacement, and now we definitely need to.
Okay.
So,
I can speak to that.
Okay, so the resident handbook and the contract do not speak to replacement of the carpet at any given time, because carpet needs to be replaced on an as-needed basis. So if you think that your carpet needs to be replaced, there's probably two possibilities. One, it might need to be stretched, but number two, it might need to be replaced. So if you think that your flooring needs to be replaced, we have to assess that as a team and understand if it's normal wear and tear, or if there's something abnormal going on. For example, if you have a very powerful or heavy use power mobility device in your apartment, that will accelerate the amount of time that would be considered normal wear and tear. But if your carpet just needs to be replaced because you've just normally used it for the last 12 years, we have a protocol for that. We will replace it. There's a process. But the best thing to do is put in a work order with maintenance to have someone come and assess your flooring. Okay? There is a routine repainting of units after 7 years if the person wants to do it. We weren't doing that during COVID because many of the painting vendors are not vaccinated. Tom and I need to get back on track with that and look and see who's due. And then we will determine if we feel that it's safe to do so, and then we will get in touch with those people. And then Ann, you had one more question for Rob, and then we're gonna move on to Amy.
Thank you. The lovely blue chairs in the library, 4 of them sitting around the fireplace, are really grimy and grungy. They badly need to have the upholstery cleaned. Could you arrange for that to be done?
Yeah, I can do, I have to look at the fabric and what it can withstand, but yeah, I can look at, I have a fabric cleaner, and hopefully that will take care of the issue.
I have a vendor who can clean it if you need a reference.
Okay, all right, thanks. She has a vendor. She has a guy. She knows someone. Who's next?
Hi everyone, I'm Amy McIntyre, Director of Dining. Alright, I just want to give you some updates on dining. We're going to reopen tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't want to keep us closed any longer than we need to. This week, like last week was a big deal for me because we anticipated we have new menus, a new 5-week spring summer menus where we introduced a bunch of new recipes, new menu items, listening to certain people about bringing back some of the oldies but goodies. We talked about meatless Mondays, lots of different things that we were going to incorporate, and of course then the dining shuts down at the same time. I also was going to be opening up for lunch last week, as you all knew. I think it made the best decision to postpone that. We've now decided that lunch will be open on the 1st of June. I think it's best because we have the holiday coming up. So officially, let's just get through this wave the next week. We'll get the dining room open for dinner, and then we'll open the bistro come June 1st. That being said, we have a lot of new menus. For room service and takeout, you guys are seeing, I saw a couple mistakes, and I'm the type of person where I like to bring it to everybody so I can talk. It's been brought to me. Like, I'll give you an example. Friday, it was brought to my attention we don't do a lot of ethnic food. So we're trying to do themed menus, more ethnic things. I know we did Indian food last week, and there were people who loved it, and there were people who hated it. That's always gonna happen, okay? That's why you have your alternate menu. So there's other items that you can get. Same with Meatless Monday. I mean, I love baked manicotti. So even if I don't, I'm a meat lover, I also like my Italian food. That being said, you also have your alternate menus. Please keep that in mind. But this Friday, we're doing Thai food. And on the menu, one of my cooks just came to me and said, it says chicken pad thai with sweet potatoes. And I was like, oh man. So this is something that happens with anything that comes into new, it's a new play. I have new people writing my menus, which is amazing. And I have brand new menus, brand new recipes. And my kitchen staff is super excited about cooking all of these new items, but there will be mistakes. I got an email from someone who corrected me already on the side choices on an item or two. So we will be seeing them. I love feedback, positive and negative. I need both to grow. If I don't know, then I can't make it better. I've been here since February 7th, and a lot of times I was told in the first couple months I was here, why bother telling you no one ever did anything about it? That broke my heart. At this point, I believe that majority of people are telling me, and I have a pretty thick skin, and we work on it, we look at it, but you guys are also coming and telling me all the positive things that we're doing in that kitchen. And I share all of that with my staff. Also the applause, my wait staff, I've been working so hard with that wait staff. We've been doing so much training with them, and I can see the difference. And I pray that you can too, not just because they're good kids, and we like them because they're nice, but because they're actually giving you the level of service that you deserve when coming into the restaurant. Please keep that in mind. But you have those applause. And what I do is I bring them to my pre-shift meetings, the once a month, and I give them out, and we talk about the people that you've written about. Okay, so please take the time to fill out those applause for my wait staff, because it's really not, the $5 gift card is amazing, but the accolades that they get in front of their peers, that's priceless. And we're building them, you know what I mean? So their average ages are 18 to 22. I don't think I have anyone over 22 on our wait staff. And we're teaching them life lessons that they're not even realizing. So please fill out those applauds for me. I want to go back to room service a little bit and the takeouts. I don't love them. We're making this amazing food and then we're chilling it and then you're reheating it. It just makes me crazy, So the biggest thing is to get you into the dining room, all right? I've opened up the reservations. The issues that we were having when I first got here, we are no longer having. People complained about having to be sat with certain people, so I closed certain tables. People said that they couldn't get reservations, so I handled that situation. I've opened up more seatings. So there's no reason why we are not getting out of our apartments, because you're still ordering my food. So I don't want to hear that it's about the dining room. About the food quality in the dining room, because you're still ordering. I'm averaging about 60 takeouts a day. To me, that breaks my heart, because I want you in my dining room. I want to give you that level of service that I've been working so hard with my staff. I want you to come and see Tanya, who's doing an amazing job in that dining room, and has taken the time, please wear your name tags to my dining room, to get to know every single one of you. So please, just so you know, come down. Takeouts to me drive me crazy because my chefs put so much work into that food, and then they chill it, then they package it, and then you reheat it. So, the other day I said, do we know they're putting that in the oven? No, they're probably sticking that in the microwave. So, right? So get into my dining room. I want to see everybody. This week, coming up on Wednesday, and I will advertise, I promise, Betsy, we're going to be doing a carving station buffet. That was brought to my attention that we wanted to have some nicer quality food. So I'm going to have prime rib next Wednesday in my dining room. We're going to be carving it, okay? Buffets have been my nemesis because I don't have enough reservations for them. So we started making themed buffets. We put them on the calendar. Now I want you to know that this Wednesday coming up, we're going to have prime rib carved. I'm also going to tell you that I'm going to charge a couple dollars more, because I've gotten so much feedback from the residents, and they talked about scallops and Cornish hen and lamb chops and prime rib of beef. I can get all of that and more. Just know on those days, on those items, I will put the price up, but I'll still have 5 different other options for you if you don't want to have that. But I want us to be able to have everything that you want. That's the idea of here. I had a gentleman, one of the residents, come to me yesterday and said, I don't have a car. I don't leave. So what you make for me is that much more important. And I love that he came to me and spoke about it because, next week he's getting his favorite food. That's the kind of thing. And that's another thing I'm enjoying is I'm getting preferences now. If you have preferences, you can come to me. Email me, dining director, okay? And I can get these items. I know you saw liver and onions. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. But it was a fan favorite, and I brought liver and onions back, exactly. So we have it, meatloaf, spaghetti and meatballs, just to give you ideas of items, Cornish game hen, we're bringing everything back because you asked for it. Also be patient. It's a new 5-week cycle of menus, meaning new recipes for my cooks. I have lots of culinary graduates in there, but it's still brand new to everyone in there. Okay, so I value the feedback, positive and negative, but also realize it's new for us. Last thing, I just want you to look forward to, we have barbecues coming up. We're getting the grill up. I'm starting next week. I know you guys are gonna see it, that's why I'm mentioning it to you. We're doing our first barbecue for the health center on the 24th. We're doing Skilled in Garden View out in the pub. Then the next day, we're gonna do AL. We're gonna start their barbecues first. And then I have one scheduled for the following week for you, and you guys will hear about that. But I wanna do them 2-3 times a month. I want any reason to celebrate, as a lot of you know about me already. Jared Cutts, he was my chef manager. A lot of you have met him. I just gave him my executive chef position. He was, promoted to that internally. I'm really excited about that. He comes to my dining committee, so a few of you have already met him. He's been with us, okay? He came from, he's a culinary arts graduate. He has a 4-year degree. He also has a 4-year degree in economics, because why not? And he worked at Diamond Mills as an executive sous chef for years. So what I love, and he has a lot of other steakhouses, cafes, fine dining. His background is as exciting as mine is. So him and I together, we want to do a lot. He just took the position last week. He's now in charge. I have a lot of expectations for him, but I'm really excited about it. So I wanted you guys to know that it's Jared. I'm sure some of you have already met him. He comes out to the dining room, but I just wanted to officially. All right, do we have any questions for Amy? Oh, I knew it. So many hands.
You mentioned applause. Where do we fill those out?
Where do we get the applause?
Concierge.
Concierge has the applause.
Okay, so you have to run down there after dinner, all right.
Anytime, you can get them during the day. Have a stack in your room, make concierge, make more. Have a 10 in your room because you can applaud my people at all times.
What is it?
Oh, the applause. I'm so happy I mentioned it tomorrow. The applause is you writing, it's a full sheet of paper and it says applause on top of it, and it's you recognizing one of my staff or any of our staff for doing a great job. And then you write quickly, it prompts you. So you just give their name, and their department, and a brief description of how they, affected your day in a positive way, or your week, or your month, or your year. And then we get them monthly in our mailboxes as directors, and then we hand them out to our staff, and then my staff go to the human resources, and they get a $5 gift card.
Question?
Yeah.
On the takeout meals.
Yes.
Could you have the rolls be listed as a choice so that we don't get rolls if we don't want them?
Okay.
Because it's an awful waste the way it is right now.
Well, let's talk about it. The rolls. You're getting rolls. You've never gotten rolls before. No. Let's be honest. So that means that that's an automatic delivery that just has been coming that nobody turned off. So you're not going to get rolls later. No. So the dining room, I get rolls every day, fresh baked. The chef has to correct that. So what happened was, first it was a mistake because I get that bread in every day. Rockland Bakery delivers fresh rolls every day for the restaurant, for IL. So I would say it was about day 3, and I said, excuse me, there's 5 cases of boxes of rolls, what are we doing with them? So I said, give them out to the residents, because if you're in my restaurant, or our restaurant, you are getting rolls. So I just thought it should be part of the service. So maybe on your paper you wanna write no rolls, but if you're on independent living, if you're in that restaurant, we have someone who comes around to you with a roll. So I just thought that since it's part of your meal experience inside the dining room, shouldn't it be part of your meal experience at home? So why don't you, it's a preference, I love preferences, because that's an easy fix. So all you can write is no roll. I could even add a no roll spot on the takeout menu. That's easy, thank you.
Yeah, I would recommend doing that, because when I got 3 rolls, I was shocked, and I had to throw them all out.
Okay, yep. That was because we had so many. I had bread pudding for days in that kitchen. Well, you should see all the linen I have. These are not things, you know, you get a phone call that, you know, hey, by tomorrow, close your dining room. So we don't think about, you know, the linen guy comes up to me and says, you keep wanting me to give you tablecloths? I'm like, no, okay.
Yeah, don't give them to the birds, please.
No, don't feed the birds.
The dining room itself.
Yes.
When we first got here, didn't know a soul. So the dining room was not just a place to eat, but it was a place to meet people. And it was a very important thing, a social thing. Now with reservations, it becomes very difficult for, I would imagine, for new people. You know, there's one person, how does he make, we don't need, you know, reservations. And I understood that the reason why reservations initially was put in was because there was a shortage of wait staff. And that was the excuse that was given to us initially. That now, it seems to me that really a wonderful part of the thing that you come down, and if you're alone, they just put you with 3 other people or 2 other people, and you meet them.
Right, so I can address some of that. Amy was not here when we put the reservation system in, so I wouldn't want her to speculate or talk to why we put the reservation system in. The reservation system went in because during COVID, we had to have limited seating.
Yeah.
It was not about staff. It then perpetuated and was helped by the fact that we were having staffing challenges. We are basically fully staffed at the dining room at this point. We are not getting rid of the reservation system. And the reason is because all of you that were here before COVID maybe don't realize the number of complaints that we got because everyone came to the dining room at 5:30. And so when everyone came to the dining room at 5:30, it created significant slowdowns in service. People were sitting for 2 hours, people were not getting waited on, people were grumpy, all of those kinds of things. What I would like to do and what we are going to be working towards is having our existing reservation system, but with open seating at every meal. So if we have 10 tables, 8 are reservations and 8 seats are walk-in, subject to first come, first serve. So we will be discussing the opportunity for that. Now, as far as the single person being able to meet people via a reservation, I will let Amy talk about that, because that single person absolutely will make friends even with the reservation system, and Amy can explain how.
Okay, so we currently offer 10 reservation spots for each seating, just to piggyback on what Michelle. There's 10 tables for each reservation. We're never filled. But I also keep a couple open spots. For anyone who comes down, we don't turn you away. You know how many times people have told me they've had a reservation and they clearly don't? And we just smile and say, give us a moment. I know you've all seen it, because it happens every night 3 times. We'll see you, and Betsy, I'm just using you as an example. Hi, Betsy, how are you today? Okay, yeah, 5:30, okay, look at the sheet, Betsy's name's not on it. Betsy always sits. We don't even tell her she doesn't have a reservation, we just figure it out. So I want you to understand, first and foremost, no one is ever turned away in that dining room. And if you are, you need to write me and let me know. We always have open spots. 2, Ruth, who's at the hostess desk. Ruth, you all know her, Monday through Friday, she's at my hostess desk. She works very hard to make sure that all of our new residents sit with people. She moves everyone around. She actually gets a lot of back talk because she does this, because certain people like to sit with each other and they don't always note it, and then they come down, they're like, oh, I'm sitting with her. I hear it all the time. And then Ruth is like, yeah, but it's the new person. We want them to know everyone. So this is something that's very important in that dining room. We ideally want to every day change who you're sitting with. We every day want the new people to meet all of you, so we could switch it up. There are some of you who don't want that, so we do both. The ones who have preferences, they clearly let us know upon reservation, and the others don't. So that's how that works. And I'm gonna say also, since I've been here, it was also overproduction of food. So we have a new menu every night. You go to any reservation in town, they have the same menu every day. If you would like the same menu so the overproduction of food and what's getting thrown away. And since I am a member of the SUSCOM committee and we're working very diligently to handle these kind of things, we have a new menu every day. You can't go to any other restaurant in town and get a brand new menu every day. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to praise your new wait staff because they more often than not remember to charge me for my wine.
About your dessert.
And I consider it part of my help in their training to remind them.
Yes,
Oh, you
please.
didn't charge me but I've not had to do that meal after meal. It's been
That's a big deal. Desserts, it always seems like they fall off right at the end. Couple back there.
Please, will you open up the outdoors? Now you say you're not short of staff, and I was told I can't be accommodated outdoors yet.
Okay. How are you doing? I accommodate everything we talk about. That being said, Michelle just came to me yesterday and said there was some requests for some outdoor patio dining accommodations. Okay, I don't do anything without making sure it's going to be successful. So that was just brought to my attention literally a couple days ago. So I need time to make sure that my point of service, the computers, we call them POS system, has a floor plan for out there, like table numbers exist, things like that. That's gonna run into some issues because of reservation systems, because there's only gonna be a few out there. That's also gonna be a weather permitting. I'm just gonna let you know what keeps me up at night. Because it's so easy for me to say, oh, of course, let's all eat outside. Until the thunderstorm rolls in and I don't have the tables inside the dining room for you because I'm full. So these are just things, and I did patio dining for 10 years at the Rhinecliff, right at the waterfront, and you can't even fathom. So I'm going to let you know that I would ideally like to get it open for lunch first, okay? There's no reservations for my lunch when it opens on June 1st. So there's a compromise. You can come down for lunch between 12 and 2, and you don't need a reservation. But I'm working on the patio. I'm gonna look at it, I'm gonna make a plan, and I'm gonna execute it correctly. Yes?
About the reservations.
Yeah.
I used to every week get a table or two at least of people together. And I'm on the welcome committee, I tried very hard to get new people and introduce them to others. And I did this regularly, and then suddenly we were told that we couldn't reserve a table and then fill it up.
Oh, later? Is that what you're doing? So you're reserving the whole table and then filling it up later?
What we did, we reserved a table. I turned in my names, I was faithful, I turned in my names.
Right.
I may have canceled once or twice, but with notice.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't leave you standing at the table. And I was just, you don't understand how much time it takes to make those reservations.
All right, well, let me look at-
Nobody understands that. And if you're trying to make reservations for a table you don't have, I quit. I haven't been in the dining room. I can't remember the last time, and I certainly didn't make the reservation. Maybe people invited me.
Okay, well, here's what bothers me about that, is that I didn't know anything about this until today.
You didn't know that we were told that
No, I have no idea. I know that Ina Potter always reserves.
We
were told we had to give the names when we made the reservation.
So, you're giving, so my point to you is, if you came to me as the welcome group, and we spoke, like not at the Q&A, we could probably figure out, you know what I mean, to get the new people in. So that was my point of saying that this is the first time I'm hearing about it, because you're talking about the welcome committee and getting some of our new residents into the dining room. So that should probably be a separate conversation you and I have, because we could figure out a way to get them in. Because you know what I mean? So like a different process to make that
I also have
better.
friends I like to eat with too.
Okay.
But there again, I don't know whether they're free or not, or what time they want to eat. And so it would really be nice to get a table and then fill it up.
So the challenge with that, and again, I don't expect Amy to know the answer to this because it was a problem before she was here. I can't tell you how many people were holding hostage tables doing that. So we had so many held seats that other people couldn't get seats, and then you ended up not making your reservation. So this is why Amy and I can work out a system where we have 80% reservations and 20% walk-in, then that can allow you to come in with a group of impromptu friends and then come and eat. on a walk-in basis. So we're gonna work on that. But I think to anybody that feels like the reservation system is a lot, I think if you go into many restaurants nowadays, you have to have reservations. It's just the way, and it's because of food supply, it's because of staffing availability. We can help you if you're having challenges, and Ruth can be very instrumental. She's very hand-holding, so I think we should have her reach out to Annette.
Yes, please, that's my point, Annette.
Yeah.
We should have talked about it.
So I'm very sensitive to time, we're running over pretty significantly. I think what I'd like to just do is close the meeting. Jennifer, did you have anything?
I don't, so
Okay.
that's great.
Cameron, did you have anything? Okay. We're gonna close this down, but in order to get in touch with Amy, her email is diningdirector at our usual email suffix, okay? And she will answer all of your questions.
All of them.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.